look at it go with the wind. Oh my god, that's funny. What's up, Gnome Nation? Ugh. I need to clean the back of this swing arm off. I always seem to over oil the chain a little bit. Am I recording here? Yes, we are. What's up? What the fuck is that? It looks like a fire up there. Holy shit. It's a lot of black smoke. Shall we go investigate? I think we shall. Alright, car, get that light changing. Make it change. Make it. Good job. That's why I like you. Got a topic I'd like to talk about. Might be a little controversial, might piss some people off, but I think it's an interesting topic. I'd like to talk about the uselessness of today's modern super hyper bikes. Complete nuttiness of them. Wow, that is a lot of smoke up there. We're also going to investigate a fire, apparently. What are you going to do, CRV? Did you even... Oh, you just now noticed. I can see your head turn. You just now noticed that you're lane-ended. Brilliant. Particularly 1000cc and upward bikes can be pretty insane. Now, honestly, some of the ones above 1000, like honestly the ZX14 and Hayabusa, are actually sort of dual-purpose sort of machines. They're not just meant to be crazy drag racing bikes. They're also semi-sport touring bikes too. A lot of people don't, you know, realize that when you look at a Busa ZX14. There's a lot of features on there that are very sport touring aimed. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like leader bikes. BMW 1000 SS thing, the ridiculous one, the Ducati Panigale, whatever. You know, like back in 2005, I bought an R1, an 05, and it was one of those. There were to the wheel out 150 horsepower and brake horsepower. They didn't have all the driver aids that the bikes have now, which are kind of a good thing. I understand that the rider aids, multiple systems now on these bikes. You've got multiple maps to choose between to give you different power levels. But see, here's the weird thing about a leader bike, for instance. They seem to make so much horsepower now that they have to have a system in there to control it to make it somewhat rideable. And that's where it's just like, you start to see what overkill it is. You're spending all this money to have this really high-end engine that's getting close to 200 brake horsepower, but they know damn well that the average guy can't fucking hang on to it. So then you have all these computers that you also have to pay for on top of paying for all this technology that dumb it back down so you don't kill yourself. Why are we spending money on electronics to dumb the bike down and at the same time a bunch of power? It seems like we could, you know, cut one of those things out. Again, I don't mean to start any comment war with anybody or piss anyone off by saying this, but the average rider, and I mean like 99.9% of riders out there, the only way they're going to really use the power of a leader bike is on the freeway, just wrapping it out, breaking this shit out of the law, going stupid fast. And I've been there. That was in my opinion the only time I remember in mind that I really got to, you know, squeeze that thing out and actually let it rev all the way out. I mean, you gotta think in first gear alone, that bike would do 105 out of first gear if you took it all the way to red line. 105. So that means if you're really pinning her out using what she's got, you're breaking the law. There's no way around it. At least here in America, we don't have no Autobahn. And, you know, let's be honest, you go out to ride your motorbike, what do you want to do? You want to have fun on it. Hard to have fun with a bike that the minute you start to have fun on it is just absolutely breaking the law. Now, sure, they yank wheelies pretty good, the leader bikes, but honestly, if you're buying a leader bike just to pull wheelies, that's kind of silly. Better off, honestly, on a 600, maybe get one down, 5 up, and you could do some gnarly wheelies on it for days. The thing with the leader bike, I remember, is the leader bike's geared so tall that you did have to be going a good bit faster. I remember my 600 in first gear, I could do wheelies at like 20-30 miles an hour in the parking lot, just rolling around, stock gearing. My R1, I had to be going like at least like 50, or the motor was too bogged down, it was geared so tall. Again, I'm talking about like, you know, the full-on sport bikes. I mean, you talk about going through a turn, like let's say this turn up here, you're on this bike and you're on 1000. As we go through this turn, if we're really going to push it all the way to the edge and be on the edge limit of, you know, what we can handle with the bike, a lot of that comes to what you're doing with your throttle. You know, you set yourself up, body position, and then you're coming into the turn, and you're modulating the throttle and stepping back up as you exit. If I'm running on the razor's edge of staying upright on that turn, where a little bit more throttle is going to throw it off, give it just too much and start to cause it to low side, or even start to low side, chop throttle high side, you know, you want to stay right before that edge. Now on a bike like this with the less power, that's a little easier to do because your margin of where do I hold the throttle to kind of keep it on that area may be a lot bigger, maybe like that much, you know, like a good little play in there. You can kind of work with and see what you got. Now on a leader bike, that margin, because it has so much more power, is very small. It means you have like a razor's edge line if you're trying to really get all you can get out of it and hold it right on a certain edge, or even an edge that you're comfortable with. Doesn't mean max edge. The edge that you're comfortable going around that turn on requires a very precise amount of throttle control, just a little bit too much, and oh shit, we've given it a lot too much. And even if you're running, most leader bikes have got enough power, even if you're running several gears too high, it's still got a shit ton of power. You know, it's hard to really relax that much power. With a bike that's a little less power, something like this 450, big swing in the other direction, you just have a lot more fun trying to actually dial it in. You can almost imagine it like a microscope. You know how a microscope's got the big tuning knob and the fine tuning knob? When you're on something with less power, it's almost like using the fine tuning knob, and I don't have as much overall, but you've got a lot more control over exactly how much throttle and power you're laying down. It's less intimidating because you know you have a lot more forgiveness, if you will, because you can push it hard, over push it, but you're not crazy over pushing it because it's just all minor inputs. You can kind of find your way back and play with it right on the edge of you know, its limit or your comfortableness of, you know, speed you want to take that turn. And that's what you have with a leader bike. When you're out on a back country road and you're pushing hard, going through or a canyon back road or something like that, even on a racetrack, everything about a modern sport bike in general is very, very overkill, but particularly the leader bikes. You know, they have to have so many systems in now to try to dole back out your feel. So you're leaned over hard in a turn and you over crack it, and the computer has to take over. And again, it's that whole thing of why are we buying a motor with way more power than needed to have a system that dials back the power. You know, some of these electronics are amazing and they do make some of the riders better. You know, according to the MotoGP riders, they're so powerful, they just have to have them. And those are the best riders in the world. Talking about MotoGP bikes that are what, like 250 horsepower? I'm telling you, the average rider, myself included, a leader bike is just far more power than you need all around. It's why when you go to a track day, typically guys on 600s are just running around people on leader bikes. And if you don't know, that's typically what happens. And you get on back canyon roads that are really tight, and motards are just the tool out there to have. I know it's fun. I used to have one. You come to realize, holy fuck, every time I like have fun with this bike, I am fucking breaking the law and putting myself in a kind of a dangerous position, and you really are. They are fun for that straight line, just beating it down the highway like crazy. They'll yank up a wheelie pretty gnarly like if you want to. Like I said though, if you're really all about wheelies, you don't need a leader bike. A 600 would do the job very well. One of these would do the job even better. You've probably heard the expression a lot where people say it's better to ride a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow. Very true expression. A bike like this, what I'm on, and you go out to ride it hard and have fun, kind of flog it, it doesn't feel scary and intimidating, if that makes sense to you. It just doesn't. It feels like you're just going out and having a good time. When you were to go out and ride my leader bike, if I'm being perfectly honest about it, if you're just out commuting on it, it was one thing. If you went out to go fast or with your buddies, it's an intimidating ride. That's not fun. It's not fun to go out on a ride and just feel really like intimidated the whole time. It's like, all right, fuck, you know, I gotta fucking, you know, get on my bike and ride it and not look like a bitch. Playing devil's advocate, you know, the power of that leader bike is intoxicating, to be honest with you. It's just so much hard pull. You feel it in your arms and everything when you get on it. Just that pulling sensation that bike has, it is fun. There is something cool about riding that bike around the streets and just kind of knowing that about everything you run into, you can go faster than it can go. And for having a motorcycle for what I think you want to use them for, which is having fun, having a good time, a leader bike is just ridiculous. Using a leader bike to commute on is really fucking ridiculous. You're doing it because you like the bike and you want to do it. There's so many better bikes to choose from. But again, I understand there are its fun sides. I'm not trying to like dog on anyone who rides a leader all the time or daily or whatever, commutes on one. I think that's why I kind of like a lot of the bikes manufacturers are coming out with lately in the 70-80 horsepower range. They're more budget minded. And that's fucking good. It's a good amount of power. That's fine. If your goal is to go 150 miles an hour, well, then it's not for you. I've been there, I've done that plenty of times, and it's a thing, yeah, but it's also really dangerous. You know, that's your only thing that you can do that's fun. It's a pretty dangerous life right there. Typically with the less horse-powered bikes too, they're a little lighter too, a little more nimble, better agility at the lower speeds. And I think that's the most fun kind of bike, something that's just easy to fucking ride, not intimidating. When you do want to push it down and push it hard, you feel very confident doing so. Woo! Oh, I shift and hit a dip in the road. Oh, simultaneously. Fuck that word. Oh shit, I can see the flames. Uh-oh, it's burning. She's done. She gone. Put it down before I get up here and the police see me. If you really want a liter bike, I guess, you know, you go for it. I mean, if that's just like in your head is the thing you must have and you want to have, you're probably going to be happy until you're on one. I think what you may realize though, whether you ever admit it or not, you may realize that it's a lot of bike. It's a lot of handful when you want to go out for a ride. Now this is the ultimate of the other end of that scale. Good torquey power, nice, but very manageable. It really just makes a fun bike. Doesn't have a big motor or electronics to lug around. It's, you know, it's what, 260 pounds this bike is? You know, why haul around an engine that makes 150 horsepower weighing all what it weighs when you can't even use it? Wouldn't you have more fun on a lighter machine? I have the same kind of bicycle I have. Wait, that was my garage up. Stars are bright, big at night, deep in the heart, you can see it. For instance, a motard is one of the most fun bikes I've ever run, but it loses a lot of practicality. There's a lot of bikes that kind of fit into the middle. Personally, I think a 600 is pretty good compromise in between those. A lot more reasonable power that's, you can ride it hard without having that twitchy, I'm about to flip it limit. It's still a lot. Still a fucking lot, you know. It's got a fine edge too on it. It's just not as fine as the leader. But like I said, there's all kinds of really fun, great, sort of in the middle compromise real world bikes. And you know, I think it's easy for the young people to get really into the, you know, the high horsepower bikes and the plastic bikes that look like the ones that they go around the racetrack real fast. And then the reality is, in the real world out here on the street, they don't make the most sense. They're not very comfortable either too. You start to figure that out. There's so many more comfortable, better bikes to ride out there in my opinion. But for some of you, we'll have to make that observation on your own. But anyway, if you have an opinion on this and you think I'm all wrong, well, that's fine, just tell me. So have a discussion about it in the comments below. And if you're not a part of the Gnome Nation and you want to join, well then just join. Click subscribe and become a garden gnome. Sure to check out one of the other 3 videos on the screen if you haven't seen it playing already. And thank you for watching. You're beautiful. I love you.